Barry, we're into the final 2 weeks now ahead of your fight with Curtis Scott. How's preparation going for you?
Preparation's been really good. We've, before we started camp, we sort of set out what we wanted to achieve, and we've ticked every box. Sparring's been really high quality. The guys I've been sparring against, we haven't missed a session with injuries. There's been no setbacks, so it's been going really, really well. So couldn't ask for a better camp, really.
You obviously know a fair bit about Curtis Scott and his background now. You mentioned in the press conference that he's not that well liked broadly. Do you think that plays on his mind leading into a fight like this?
Oh, look, I'm not sure. That's they're his issues to deal with. I'm just my issues are preparing for him and trying to beat him on the night. So I've heard rumblings about behind the scenes, but it's that's, as I said, that's all him. I can't really add too much to that. That's his issues, and I'm sure he'll deal with them in good time.
Was a bit surprising, do you think, after you announced the fight? Gal jumped on social media, came out of the blue. You guys haven't had too much to do with each other, since you fought. There was a lot of noise around how that fight was scored and the result around it. But were you surprised that Gal jumped out of the blue and sort of was calling you out from stuff you said on the podcast?
Yeah, a little bit. We went private message. We went back and forth quite a bit. So there is a bit of feeling there. And he was talking about, he does want to promote our fight. I was purely answering questions that were asked of me. I don't want to talk about Paul Gallen. I've got Curtis Scott to contend with. And when it's time to talk about Paul Gallen, I'll talk about him. But I certainly don't want to talk about Paul Gallen. Let's get that straight.
He's obviously sided with Curtis Scott as well. He said on radio last week that he thinks Curtis Scott knocks you out. So clearly he does have a view and an opinion on it, and it's still not very high.
Yeah, I'm sure he's hoping Curtis will knock me out, because if I get through Curtis, he's got a world of pain coming to him. So, as I said, we've got some issues and we'll sort them out in good time. But, one step at a time. I've got to beat Curtis Scott. Otherwise, the train stops for me.
Just on the home front, you've got a massive fight coming up personally, but then on the home front, you've got a big milestone as well. How are you dealing with all that? And tell the people what's going on the home front as well. Yeah,
I've got a fight coming up, and my wife's got a bigger fight than me, that's for sure. She's currently pregnant with our fourth child, and the date is the 13th. So I'm obviously fighting on the 10th of July, and the date is the 13th that we're expecting. So hopefully it doesn't come early. But we've sort of spoken through scenarios, and she's actually prepared for me to miss the birth as long as when I come home that I'm there for a good 2 months. She goes, no training, no boxing, none of those sorts of things. You're home with me, you're watching the other kids, and that's a deal we're going to make. And I said, okay, done deal.
Was that a tough conversation when it got proposed, the timing of it all?
Well, not really. Like, if I miss the birth of my child, that's a big deal. So to say you got to stay home with the other kids and be around us for 2 months is probably not a bad playoff, really.
And what do the kids know much about what you're doing? I don't know how old they all are, but do they know what you're trying to achieve? And are they allowed to watch?
No, so the oldest is 7, so 7, 5, 2, and 1 on the way. So it's busy time. They don't really understand. They don't know I played footy or any of those sorts of things. So it's a bit bizarre when people ask me for photos and stuff, and they don't know what's going on. But I certainly keep the boxing away from them a little bit. Although they do fight a lot at home. But I'm sure over time, they'll watch, and hopefully they're good memories from the 10th of July, not bad ones.